Worldlens enthusiasts, throughout the course of history, we've been witness to battles of epic proportions. But today, we're not talking about warriors or emperors. We're diving into an arena where the combatants are too small to see but have left behind legacies too large to ignore. Yep, we're talking about diseases. So grab your microscopes and history books. Give that like button a solid click for good luck. And let's journey back in time. First stop, the 14th century. No, we aren't attending a medieval jousting match. Instead, we're witnessing the rise of a silent annihilator known as the Bubonic Plague or the Black Death. Originating from the trade routes in Asia, it crept into Europe, riding stealthily on the backs of fleas, which in turn call rats their trusty steeds. Now you might think, fleas and rats. That doesn't sound too bad. But oh, were people unprepared for what was to come. This wasn't just a disease. It was a cataclysmic event. Europe's bustling cities and vibrant trade centers were transformed into ghost towns. People were gripped with fear, watching as their neighbors, friends, and families fell victim to the plague's icy grasp. Within just a few years, nearly a third of Europe's population vanished into the annals of history. Economies crumbled and societies were forever altered. And while we might think of it as a historical event, remember, once upon a time, it was their reality, their daily news, their lived experience. Now, we hop onto our time machine and fast forward a few centuries to the 20th. The world had just endured the ravages of World War I. Nations were healing and societies were hoping for brighter days. But nature had other plans. Enter influenza, particularly its most infamous strain, the Spanish flu. This wasn't the kind of flu you'd nurse with some soup and a day in bed. It was ruthless. It treated everyone the same, whether they were young or old, rich or poor. It swept across continents, from the bustling streets of New York to remote villages in Asia. In its wake, it left millions dead, surpassing even the horrors of the Great War. Families were torn apart. Cities were paralyzed with fear, and the world, yet again, found itself grappling with an unseen enemy. It's overwhelming, isn't it? The sheer power these diseases held. But as we dive into these tales, remember, these stories aren't just about the diseases. They're about humanity's perseverance, our ability to rally, to find hope in the darkest times, to emerge stronger and more resilient. Hey, Worldlens fans, feeling the excitement? We've got a lot more to show you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If you're enjoying our journey and want to keep learning with us, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got so many more amazing stories and facts lined up for you, and we promise you won't want to miss a single one. No. Buckle up, because we're jumping from history straight into a time most of our grandparents, and maybe even our parents, remember all too well. The 80s might evoke memories of disco balls, neon lights, and rock music. But beneath the surface of the party era lurked a silent predator, an epidemic that would change the world forever. The virus responsible for AIDS called HIV. The 80s saw the world grappling with a new kind of disease, one that didn't come with a clear set of symptoms and was surrounded by mystery, fear, and stigma. It was more than just a health crisis. It was a social one. Patients weren't just battling the virus. They were fighting society's prejudice, ignorance, and fear. People diagnosed were often ostracized, turned away from hospitals, and stigmatized. But it wasn't all gloom. This era also sparked a global movement. From activists to artists to medical professionals, people rallied together to advocate for awareness, funding, and research. Fast forward a few decades, and thanks to relentless efforts, what was once a death sentence is now a manageable condition. It's a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit, to the heroes in lab coats, and to the global community that rallied against the tide. But our journey isn't over yet. Let's move our attention from the glitz and glamour of city life to the dense, humid jungles and picturesque villages of the tropics and subtropics. Here, another adversary awaits us, malaria. An adversary so tiny you might not even notice it land on you. But one bite, just one bite from an infected mosquito, can plunge a person into bouts of fever, chills, and worse. The numbers are staggering. Hundreds of millions of people are infected every year, with hundreds of thousands succumbing to the disease. That's like filling up a huge stadium multiple times and then witnessing it vanish. Imagine the sound of children playing, mothers singing lullabies, and communities bustling. All silenced by an insect no bigger than a paperclip. Throughout history, empires have fallen, armies have been decimated, and communities have been devastated by this disease. Many stories tell of adventurers and leaders being stopped by this tiny enemy. And while many of us, especially in colder climates, might think of it as someone else's problem, malaria's impacts are felt worldwide. It's not just a disease. It's a testament to the challenges nature can throw at us. It's a drain on economies, a strain on healthcare systems, and an ongoing battle in many communities' daily lives. The good news: the world's not taking it lying down. With bed nets, sprays, medicines, and more, humanity is fighting back, pushing inch by inch towards eradicating this age-old foe. We're on the final leg of our journey through the landscape of humanity's battle with deadly diseases. Now, we're diving deep into the past, to a disease that has haunted our ancestors and still lingers in many parts of the world. Tuberculosis, or, as it's often called, TB. Imagine a time long ago when towns and villages were gripped by a mysterious illness. People would cough, lose weight, and feel tired all the time. This consumption, as it was called because it seemed to consume the person from within, spread fear across communities. Kings, poets, and ordinary folks fell victim to this relentless ailment. But TB isn't just a ghost from the past. In modern times, it remains one of the world's deadliest infectious killers. You see, TB is like that one villain in movies that just doesn't quit. Every time we think we have it cornered with antibiotics, it morphs, evolves, and fights back. Now we face drug-resistant strains, a new challenge in our age-old battle. But if history's taught us anything, it's that humanity doesn't back down from a challenge. Scientists, doctors, and communities worldwide are joining hands, sharing knowledge, and working tirelessly to tackle TB head-on. So, what have we learned on this whirlwind trip through time and across continents? Diseases might challenge us, scare us, and sometimes bring us to our knees. But they also show the incredible strength of the human spirit, our ability to innovate, adapt, and overcome. From the Black Death to TB, through every cough, fever, and outbreak shines the story of human resilience. Of heroes in every corner of the globe who refuse to give up. Of communities supporting each other through the darkest times. As we wrap up, remember that history isn't just about events. It's about us, our journey, our battles, and our victories. And it's a reminder that, together, we can face any challenge that comes our way. And there you have it, folks. A roller coaster of emotions, stories, and lessons from the past. If this resonated with you, or if you learned something new today, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. What other topics would you like Worldlens to cover? We're all ears. And as always, don't forget to subscribe for more enlightening journeys like this one. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.